Kendrick Lamar, the Pulitzer Prize winning hip-hop legend, arguably one of the most influential rappers around at the minute. From the cinematic storytelling of Good Kid, Mad City, to the jazzy experimentation of To Pimp a Butterfly. From lyrical goodness to introspection to social commentary to emotional depth.
I see snap.
But it's not all deep cuts and layered metaphors for Kendrick. He's had his fair share of drama. I'm gonna be honest, I'm not up to date with all the drama and beefs, but I do like a good album. But one rivalry, of course, I do know is Drake. From subliminal disses in tracks like The Language and Control, these two have been throwing not so subtle shots at each other for a while now. Kendrick's King Kunta famously taking shots at rappers with ghostwriters, which many people took as a jab at Drake during his Meek Mill drama. From an outsider like me, this rivalry kind of highlights the commercial and artistic side of rap. Drake being the playlist king, whilst Kendrick being the music album purist. I guess the argument for who's really on top has been going on for a while now, but I guess there's an obvious winner in respect. Honestly, I don't have a huge rap knowledge database in my head, but I mean, I was a huge fan in the early noughties, mostly sort of 90s old school rap, but I did enjoy quite a few albums from then as well, and some now. Whilst my knowledge has waned slightly from then, I can still appreciate a really good album. Which brings me right on track to Kendrick's new album, GNX, which kind of just dropped randomly out of nowhere, and again, me late as ever and reviewing it right now. But the album is pretty banging. A respectable 12 tracks long, running at just about 44 minutes, I think. There doesn't seem to be any tracks from the recent feuds with Drake, but there is an air of anger and emotion. A few sly disses here and there, but nothing detrimental. The album itself is quite dark, but it does have its lighter moments. My feelings on the album is that it's not entirely cohesive, but rather it's a mashup of really good songs. And I think this kind of works in the album's favor, allowing you to take what you need from the album. Some huge producer credits all over the album, namely Mustard and Jack Antonoff. You hear those Mustard beats and Jack's lush kind of cinematic approach to producing all over this album. And you hear this on the opening track, Whacked Out Murals, featuring vocals from Dayra Barrera. Apologies for the pronunciation. Dayra's vocals flow into this really heavy synth that to me kind of sounds like metal being played with a violin bow or something. Yeah, it's gritty, it's atmospheric. The lyrics kind of play as a bit of a warning in the scene, but also weirdly a little bit inspirational, with lyrics like "Know you're a god even if they say you ain't," "Keep your feelings out of the way," "Never let no one put smut on your name," "Keep your head down and work like I do, but understand everybody ain't gonna like you." A few wise words to live by. And then Reincarnation, we see Kendrick kind of embody past lives, and I really like the narrative of this song. I'm not exactly sure who he's singing about here. Maybe in the first half Jimi Hendrix, and then Whitney Houston, and then overall embodies himself, showing this parallel between artists, and then this really kind of interesting dialogue back and forth between him and what I assume is a priest. An interesting concept that he performs really well, almost like he's confessing to himself, realizing all these contradictions that go on in his own life and his own thoughts. Even the song sampling Tupac, a nod to past artists. Conceptually, there's quite a lot to unpack on this track, and it's one of my favorites on the album, and the good songs carry on with Squabble Up. As someone who's not from the US, I think this means to square up, or if you're from the UK, come on then. I'm not 100% sure, but I think it might be a nod to the West Coast. Sampling Debbie Deb, Out for the Weekend. Percussion is nice and heavy, feeling a little more classic here. Then we get a nice change of pace and feeling with the next song, Luther, featuring SZA, whose feature on the track is quite welcome, feeling really lush and beautiful. I get the impression it's a bit of a love song, imagining a better world for your partner. And that line, Roman numeral 7, is really open for interpretation. I'm sure there's lots of different theories out there, but what do you think? Instrumentally, it's resonant and quite full, and that Spanish guitar that it opens with, yeah, really nice. Following this with another slow song, Man in the Garden, which sees Kendrick talking about his successes and how he deserves them. And you know what? It doesn't come off as an obnoxious brag. It feels justified from, all that he's done. The music is quite minimal here, but it's really effective. That lonely piano that plays every now and then matched with that sort of heartbeat percussion. The thing with Kendrick and his lyrics is you don't need to have all this commotion going on in the background. It really works in a minimal setting, and sometimes it amplifies the feeling. That artistic choice to keep it simple in itself is a bit of a risk. It's the last minute or so with those backing vocals and that synth line that just really hit hard, and his vocals slowly getting more effects on them, like making them sound slightly more robotic, and then everything just cuts out for a second, allowing him to deliver that line, "Tell me why you think you deserve the greatest of all time, motherfucker." That subtle drop was just so effective. The next song is where I have a little gripe. Hey Now featuring Dodie 6. It's the inclusion of that bass sound that comes in every now and then, seemingly random. At first I thought it was somebody peaking the mic and they just accidentally left it in. It sounds like... I'm not sure if that was absolutely necessary. Other than that, I do really like the track. Oozing with confidence, the two vocalists mesh really well. And I'm loving that 80s horror vibe going on. Overall sounding like a noughties track, Down for Life or something similar. And then that old school sound kind of continues with TV Off. Kendrick here really delivering those vocals, raw and unapologetic, which works insanely well with the lyrics. And this emotion translates into the instrumentation as well, with these like abrupt strings, kicks and bass. And then this brings us on to the last part of the album, where things fall slightly for me here, and I mean that in like the smallest amount. And you hear this on Peekaboo and GNX. Peekaboo just kind of missing it a little with the lyrics for me. There's probably lots of lyrics and things that just go straight over my head, but it misses the mark compared to so many other tracks on the album. And I have the same sentiment with the instrumentation. It just feels slightly lacking. And it's the same with the track GNX. Everything feels slightly unfinished or rushed. A bit lackluster here and there, which is a shame because it had so many features on it. But luckily you do have Dodger Blue featuring Wally the Sensei, and then Seat 7X, I think that's how you pronounce it. And last but not least, Roddy Ricch. This song overall having a bit more of an R&B feel to it, reminding me a little bit of the 80s. The percussion here feeling vibrant, and the reverb on that snare is dynamic. And Wally's singing here really adding something extra. It's nice to have that mix up of vocal textures every now and then. And then we have like a really interesting song called Heart Part 6, which I think originally was a diss towards Kendrick by Drake. But here we see Kendrick take that and basically turn it into his own thing, kind of making that diss irrelevant. It has a nice 90s inspired beat. Spatially, it's quite wide. The chorus and reverb is really spot on throughout the track, really giving this dreamy soundscape, while Kendrick raps about these former connections and people he's met throughout his career. If anything, this track one-ups Drake with its maturity. And then we hit the final track, Gloria, featuring once again SZA. Again, another love song, but it's not quite a love song. It's a bit more toxic than that. Lyrics feeling somewhat worrying and codependent, like, "So territorial, she even took me away from my friends." I'm not sure if he's rapping about his partner, but hopefully they're doing okay. SZA's performance here is really outstanding. It's heavy, it's emotional, especially during those last parts of the song anyway. Delivering a great ending performance from her. Overall, I loved this album. It's really another testament to Kendrick's ability to create music. It feels fresh, impactful and new. It's not the most cohesive or tightly wound album, but everything individually is quite outstanding. There's a diverse display of sounds and ideas that keeps it engaging from start to finish. Tracks like Reincarnated and Whacked Out Murals really show this storytelling from Kendrick. You know, whilst other songs like Luther and Dodger Blue balance this mood with strong production and lush instrumentation. Sure, the album stumbles slightly here and there, like with Peekaboo and GNX, feeling slightly undercooked, and there's moments where the experimentation doesn't fully land. Even at its weakest, the album oozes creativity, ambition and personality, cementing Kendrick's place as like a formidable artist at the moment. I think GNX has something to offer for everyone. It's not perfect, but it's pretty good. So with all of that, I would give this album 8.5, maybe 9 out of 10. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed my video. I'm thinking of doing some live streams soon, not sure what to do, so if you have any suggestions, let me know. Yeah, feel free to like, subscribe, comment, whatever you like, and yeah, hopefully I would love to see you on the next one. Thank you and goodbye.